back to this, and I'll go back to the whiteboard for your this thing. So, um, for the chat stuff, right? You're obviously going to get inbound leads and outbound leads. I don't know. Do you do much outbound?
Not really, but I maybe
You
would, but
could.
it's going to be more so inbound.
Okay, so we'll do so everything inbound then. That's fine. So obviously you're gonna have lead magnets or freebies, like ways that you people to DM you, right?
Yep.
And then you're gonna have like your direct CTAs. So kind of that's pretty much the only two conversational paths that you need to think about in your process, you know?
Right.
So like what would be an example of a freebie that you give someone for the school automation group, like to get them into the
Either like a free training or um like a PDF kind of showing them how to do this at a very high level.
okay, so free PDF. Oh, that's perfect. Free PDF. Okay, and then obviously if you direct CTAs, that would be more like, hey, DM me if you want to do this. If
Yeah.
those are pretty straight up. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So if I go to my inbound score, so actually I'll go to I'll go to the actual script that I wrote for this process.
Cool.
So we can just walk you through I'll just walk you kind of through the flow of it, and we can start maybe crafting something. So you may not do a quiz process first,
Right.
but but the process is still the same either way, in terms of how we start. It's like, hey, yeah, a way of help. Just you ask a few questions first. So that part is easy. So the first one is a sorting question. So what would you say is the first, like, so a sorting question for me is just to find out their experience level. You know, like, hey,
Gotcha.
what's your experience level with this? So like in terms of school automation for that offer, like what's the experience that they need to know and for your offer to make sense? Or maybe not experience, it might even be industry, right?
It'd probably be like if they even have like what business they have or like who they help and how they help them is the biggest thing. Um, it's kind of like their offer, their business, like what kind of
Okay, yeah. So yours is more B2B too.
right.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That's still fine. Okay, cool. So so to me it would be well, so if someone's coming on your ad, right? If someone's coming off your ad and your ad is about like building a group, da 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 da, and all that stuff, then I guess the first question I'd probably ask is have they ever tried to build a community before? You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
you ever
Do
try
you
to
have
build
a
a
school
paid
group or have you tried to build one before or something like that?
Yeah, it's like, have you ever tried to build, like, do you have a school group already? Maybe.
Or have you tried building?
Or is this maybe your first time trying to build one?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So that
Yeah.
would be the first, so that'd be like the first, so that's, to me, it's like the sorting question, right? It's usually the
Yeah.
first when it comes to this. So it's like, all right, well, I need to know what your experience level is.
Right.
Cool. And then maybe your question right here where you talked about where it's like, who do you serve? Who do you help? You
Right.
know, I think that would be a good question right here because this is more of a
Yeah.
like,
Maybe like
yeah,
just tell me a bit more about your business or something like that.
yeah, it's like personalized. And then, tell me a little more about your business and who you help. Something like that. Yep.
Right.
And then they're like, um, oh, sorry, so
You're
I can get a clearer picture of, how and who you serve. Serve. So how I can help. Sorry, I'm just copying my brain, and then it's like, all
no,
right,
no, that's
that
perfect.
was gonna bother me. All right. Okay. Then this next one is like, yeah. So it's more of like so Tell our business. All right, cool. Yeah, Nick, I'm a fitness coach. I have a school community. I'm trying to grow a nutrition, da 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 da, blah blah blah. All right, cool. Oh, okay, here we go. Next, yeah, okay, this is good. So this actually works. It's perfect right here. So you
Okay.
can say something like, because this is more of an income question.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, cool. So tell me a little bit about your serve, and I can figure out and help. The personalized response right here should probably be some kind of like little bit of an expertise statement, if I would guess.
Right.
Because it'd be like, because they're gonna be like, yeah, they're literally gonna like gush and tell you everything, So this is
Right.
your opportunity right here to be the doctor. I'm gonna say like, be the doctor.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, you could do. Oh, okay, I see this. That's awesome. Yeah, well, people like that before. Da 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 da.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Um, and so in this case, we don't have information beforehand, which we could. Depends if you want to build a survey process or not.
Yeah, I guess we
Um,
could build a quiz around answering a couple of those questions and then
yeah.
pick one.
So yeah, that's a great. So actually, I was going to say this as we're building it out. What I find is that so you're going to have two kinds of people that come in the chats nowadays. You have the person who's down to have this long conversation, and then you have the other person who's not down to have all this, and in which the quiz or a survey makes more sense, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I think you need to have both processes. So, and in that way, from your agents or anyone you have running the account, they can decide. They can be like, oh, okay, like let me just put this one through the survey, and then that way they'll just talk to me afterwards. Versus
Gotcha.
I can take them through the long process if need be. So
Right.
a great example of why they would want to take the long process would be like, let's say that someone came in on like they message you, Nick, but it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't like a direct lead in terms of, hey, I'm interested about the school thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they didn't message in your keyword or anything like that, but they just came in and asked a question or something. So
Okay.
those kinds of people, you would kind of you would need to have a process like this for like a little flow because
Right.
conversationally it makes more sense. So,
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
um, I see. So we'll just map it as if we don't have the information, and then you can always create another script
To
that's
add it back
mirrored
in.
on top. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
next question at the bottom, how much would we say that like, uh, how much money are you making with your community right now?
Yep.
And how much you like to be making in next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So then we get the income. Okay, so the people in this one are going to be more B2B, so that one doesn't apply. Oh yeah, this is a good one, right? So it's like last question, and then yeah, boom, this is a great question. So
Yeah, big roadblock. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
I've changed my language to say that more. I found that like people respond better if I say like if I say, hey, what's your biggest problem right now? Like people don't respond super good to that for some reason. They're like
Right.
they feel attacked, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Especially in chat, like if I ask you what's your biggest problem in chat, they're like, I don't want to
Yeah, like
admit I have a,
what?
you know what I mean? Like I got to type it out, come on. So
Yeah.
so I found that like if I said biggest roadblock, I always get an answer like
Okay.
from especially from B2B people, like especially the more money that this person making, like they
Right.
will like they're like, yeah man, like I'm really struggling, and they'll even give you like multiple roadblocks if you need it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
anyway,
Yep. Yeah.
boom, and then it's like, would you like some help with that? So we go, and that's obviously where we go for the sale right here, right? Or not, I shouldn't go for the sale. Sorry, we're asking for permission to sell them,
Right.
right? And then boom. So here's the pre-script.
This is similar to
The
what I
pre,
was mentioning with the other
yeah,
persons too.
yeah, the pre VSL script. I call it the
Right.
pre VLD or pre video link drop script.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so you have your personalized reply at top. So there's you don't always want to send this big long script chunk. Sometimes it makes sense to send a shorter version,
Okay. Yep.
which I call it the abridged VLD script or whatever. But
Okay.
It's just it's like a 2-line version of this,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'll explain of we'll script this out and then I'll explain that context in a second. So based on what you
Yeah.
told me, I feel really good about telling you I can help. I just started this new group for a few more. What would you say is your avatar? Would you say more business owners like you? Just
Yeah.
business owners?
Yeah. I think business owners is fine. I can always tweak it and refine it a bit more, but that's pretty much who it's
Yep.
gonna be.
And then you gave me the hook for your school community already.
We could even say like who want to get to 10K a month, like with an automated school group or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. We want to get to 10K a month with an automated school group.
Yep.
I think you're a perfect fit for it. I made a short video telling you all about it. Cool if I send it your way.
Cool.
Yes. Cool. And then obviously this next part is here.
Exactly.
So
BSL.
yeah. And so, there was a bias that we used to have in back 2018, 2019. And that was, and I guess it's just, I don't know if the market shifted or just how people consume content is different now. But our philosophy back then was we wanted to keep PSLs at 7 minutes or under.
Okay.
7 minute or even 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes was like the top, like the longest we ever wanted a VSL.
Right.
Now I don't really care.
Okay.
Um, if I'm being honest, because like what I'm finding is that if people are really interested, they're going to consume the
Or
information.
watch it. Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how long the video is. So,
Okay.
and so that being the reason I give you that context is so for this VSL, you can make it as long as, so the way I frame it to my clients now is I say, I want you to cover the information or cover it, you know? So,
Right. Okay.
so if it takes you 15 minutes to explain the full value of everything and you go through
That's fine.
that's how long it takes. Yeah.
Right. And then
Yeah.
when would you put in like a Google Doc versus a BSL, or is it just a split test? Like you'll test either or.
So if I want to move faster, I usually go with the Google Doc first.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So that way it's just straight up. They see the offer, they can read it real quick. Like people can consume that very quickly, you know?
Right.
Um, so I find that that's a good way to start. And then I find the video is always better
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
later. But then, the cool thing about the Google Doc though is that you can like bullet point out all the components of the offer and just, write your copy.
Yeah,
And
just
then
make
the
it
cool
really
thing
clear.
is that though, if it converts, you know what to put in the video. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That makes sense. Okay.
Yep. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And then the next part is I would say like, so that's like the set. So everything we did right there is it's like, you know how the closing process for phone sales is structured like setter and closer,
Right.
right? Okay, so that this is also structured very similarly in the
As like
chat in
setter
my brain.
closer. I see.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the set is everything before the video link drop. And so
Gotcha.
if I'm coaching my team, well, we'll talk about some of that stuff. Anyway, so anything above that's the
No, that
set,
makes
and then
sense.
underneath
Yeah.
that's the close.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, because basically at high volume, whenever you're doing like freaking, thousands of leads, you have to split the team up. Like, so you have a team of people that are in the chat that
Setters
just
and
focus on
some
the
that are
first half.
closers. I
Mhm,
see.
mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how we ran the Jason system. And so like, that's how we could handle like a 2,000 lead day on shout outs. Is
Gotcha.
because we would have more setters. So to have more people just focus on that first half of the conversation. And then we'd
Right.
have closers on the other half. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Besides everything here. So the CTA or the call to action I always use in these videos is I just tell them to message me back something that just lets me know. So I
Okay.
always say I'm in. You don't have to say I'm in. You could use whatever other word you want to use, like
Okay.
whatever phrase. You could be like let's go if you want, or
Right. Okay. So it could be anything.
um yeah, it could be anything. Like the word really has no significance. It's just more that you need a call to action at the end of the VSL or Google Doc that indicates to you that oh, okay, this person has seen the VSL and obviously they know
Right.
again.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
so cool. And then we'll do the closing flow too. So I always start with this. So if they say that let's say that they message the keyword like I'm in, right?
Right.
Well, I always do what's called a double confirmation first. So I ask them if they want to complete the enrollment, but I also open the conversation to questions in the same statement.
See. And it gets them to
So
commit more by asking, do you have 3 minutes right now to do it? Which is
right,
more commitment. Right.
exactly. So
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
yeah, and there's some cool little scripts that you can use to make that a little more urgent. But yeah, so we say, all right, you have 3 minutes right now to do it. And usually if it's a lay down sale and they were already if the VSL's popping and the Google Docs good, then that's a lay down. They're like, I'm in, right after this, you're sending a payment link, and we're done. We're done
Gotcha.
here.
Okay. Okay.
You know. So right here, it's boom, they say I'm in. They're like, nope, I'm good, bro. I'm all good. It's like, all right, here's the link where you can register. You know. So there's a little psychology in here too. But
And do you send them like, could you send them literally to anything, like a Stripe link? Like, does it need to be anything fancy or just anything?
no, yeah, any
Right.
link, yeah, something to take payment. It could be a Stripe link.
Okay.
It could be a go high level order form that you can put together like a single order form and go high level. That's how we
Okay.
usually do it.
But it doesn't need to
So
be fancy. Like the order form doesn't need to have like copy on it and a value stack and all that stuff. It's just somewhere to pay, right?
correct, yeah. It's just yeah, because you've already done all the you've done all that already in the videos and the
Beforehand.
conversation and done all that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. Okay.
um yeah, no crazy order form. Absolutely not.
Yeah, cool.
uh, I mean, obviously I have developed order forms that are decent now over time, just because I have them. But no, I mean, I've
Right.
seen this work with just a Stripe link, like,
Exactly. Right.
and just a direct invoice Stripe link. You just pop it in there, it's a little long or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's the whole basically like straight line process, as I would call it, right? So we
Right.
walked through the whole script and gone down and VSL drop and all that. Is that pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah. That's super straightforward.
Okay. Um, so let's see. I want to talk about two kind of key points. So some stuff that trips people up is like sometimes when you say when I ask this question, like, would you like some help with that? People will say, instead of saying yes, they'll say something like, well, what would that look like?
Okay.
And so, like, if they say like, what would that look like, or anything other than yes, then we don't necessarily want to send this big script chunk after them because it feels very body.
Right.
Right. So that's the kind of stuff that I would be just aware of when it comes to the script. So I think of it as like guidelines. So if it's like we're bowling, like it's like the bumper lanes,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, but I tell the team, it's like, hey, look, like I need you to like have some thought about that though. So it's like, if you drop this big script chunk after what they replied, like, are they gonna feel like it's a bot? Maybe. And I'd say most times if they don't say just flat out yes to this question, you should use a shortened version of this
Got
somehow.
it. Well, you'll just shorten that big
I
chunk right
wouldn't. I would take off all of this. I would take off all of this. So if they said something like, "Yeah, man. So what would that look like?" If I said, oh, "Would you like something with that? What would that look like?" I'm like, "Oh, I made a short video to tell you about it. It's cool if I
there. I
send it
see.
over." Like I would just cut off the whole top and then
I see. Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that's straight line stuff. For scripting. So this is obviously an inbound lead, right?
Right.
And
Right.
this was inbound off of the this was off of the survey process, but we edited it as we went, right?
Right. Yeah, and it makes
So
sense.
this
It's
is
pretty. It makes sense to me too. Like if we had a survey first, I could see where that would go in too. That's pretty simple.
yeah, and honestly, bro, like that is super good. Like you can get like the conversations can get so tailored whenever you use the survey process, because it's like instead of me having to go through discovery with you right here, like I'm at like the first question, hey, just have a chance to check out your answers. I may have a
Right.
way
You
that I
just
can
skip
help.
all that.
I just
Right.
skip all of the discovery phase, and I just go right into I can go right into the questions that I need to ask.
Right.
So
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
so that is useful. Um, so yeah, that's inbound for this. I need to pull this for you real quick. So I'll go to so this is same account, different offer
Okay.
on the same account. Let's see, so here we go. I just wanted to, all right, yeah, I wanted to pull the intro script out real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
Hey, I don't like that actually. I appreciate taking time to reach out about this. Uh, I'm finding that sometimes I'm finding a balance between like the 14-year-old girl texting that we used to teach and then also the like speaking like a adult.
Right.
Um
Yeah, that makes
hey
sense.
man, we should have taken time to read about this. I just need to ask you questions first to see if I can uh would that be cool? Mm, yeah, I like that. Cool. All right, so I'll copy and paste this now into Google Doc, and then I'll send this to you, obviously. Uh,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
what a terrible. All right, there we go. That is better. What's your email again?
Here, I'm gonna put in the chat for you.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Share this with you now. There you have it. Oh, no. Why didn't I go? There it is.
I hate how it does that. There we go. Sweet.
Perfect. All right. So now, but yeah, I'm literally just gonna build this like I would build it. So, here you go. Formatting. I'd say formatting is super important as well.
Right. And then you'll just get basically, since you don't do too much automation with it, you'll just get reps to handle the whole process basically.
Exactly, exactly. The reason I don't do, I mean, you could automate more. So there is like so whenever you saw my other script, did you notice so that I will have like these little tags?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So you can automate script chunks with tags. So for example, you can say, "Oh, add this tag," and then the script drops out.
Runs. I
So
see.
that is a speed element that you can add to the team. But I like it to be user actioned instead of like fully automated.
The system. Right.
Yeah.
And
So it's
then
like I still need them to push the button, but like the
right,
script, the bot can drop the script for them. Sure. Yeah.
right. And then do you like, because if I were to do this for myself, I'd probably need like at least one or two people. And then like I have a couple clients in mind that I could maybe help with it. Is it expensive for the reps that you find? I'm assuming it can't be that much, right?
When you say expensive, how do you mean?
Like, do you pay the reps based off of just hourly or based off of close or both?
So it, that part's tough to manage because mostly has to do with the offer,
Okay,
and
I
like
see.
how much money is available for them to be, you know what I mean? So
Right,
like
like how
a
much the
lot,
client's paying, for example.
right? So how much it's either how much the client's paying or how much revenue you're generating out of the DMs,
Right.
and making that make sense for them,
Okay,
you know? I'd say that's always the hardest puzzle to to figure out, you know?
gotcha.
Um, so most of the reps so I have one guy in California. So I for the chats, I'm not working with a lot of people who are in the States for
Okay.
this.
Yeah,
In terms of like my place, mostly because like I can't promise that they're going to make 3 to 4K on an
right.
account sometimes if
Yeah,
it's like if the account's only got like 20,000 followers or whatever, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
that being said, so I don't work with a lot of people from the States. I work with a lot of people from like Colombia,
Yep.
or like half of my team is from the Philippines,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And I only hire Filipino women also for chat, just for I don't know, yeah, random anecdote. Just but
Cool.
I have a not to say that I have a bias against Filipino men for chat. I think they suck at it like really
Okay.
bad, like
Okay.
legit. I don't know. I've tried many times in my
Fair enough. That's cool.
yeah, but the girls always they pick it up and they freaking like if you know if you're so what I found with like working with Filipino people is like as long as you're like really easy and genuine and nice, and you're able and you're coach them along the way, they turn into savages so fast. Like
Yeah. My like I guess she's not really an EA, but she kind of is, and she helps like with a ton inside the business, like reporting and stuff. I've been
mhm.
working with her for like years now. She's like A1. She's so good. Like she's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
I get what you're saying.
I find some players that are like from over there all the time. They're just they do great work. They're happy to work.
Right.
They take feedback well. And
Yep.
it's all good. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Um. Oh, this is looking solid, man. It's like, do you have your school group already? Is your first time trying to build one? Yeah, man. I just tried the other time and it's not good. All right, tell me about business. Curious to be certain. Help. Okay. Next question is a little broader. So obviously, if they're brand new, then we wouldn't want to ask them like how much money they're making with their community right now. You know.
Right.
Um.
Yep.
So so this is good. I would say this is a good straight line process. What we don't have in here is a lead nurture mechanism, just in case they aren't like fully savvy
Fully sold
with
yet.
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
And I
So,
guess if we had the survey, there could be something built into that where they're getting emails or they're getting something to kind of warm them up, right?
right. Well, that's why we had that. That's why I have the survey. So I take them through the survey, and then I put them in. I put a training video in front of them in terms
Yep.
of the process. So that training video is just straight up value, right? No pitch in this video. It's just like, hey, I'm just teaching you exactly what we like, how we do it.
Right.
Um, so yeah, you could have like a 20 or 30 minute Loom video. I don't know how long it would take you to do it, explain it, but you could
Right.
have like a Loom explainer video that's like
Okay.
high level.
Okay.
Um, and then right here where they say, hey, do you have your school group already? This can be where we build in that lead nurture chat process I was talking about,
Right.
right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So we'll go over here. All right, I'm going to take this screenshot. I would say it's probably going to go right here. Um,
Okay. Cool. So that's where you would send it through. Okay.
yeah, so I would probably do it right here. So I would say like, well, let's see. So do you have a school group already? Is the first time to build one? Okay, tell me a little more about your business. Who you serve? Who try to help? Okay, awesome. Okay, there you go. This works. Thanks for sharing. I got a clear idea where you're at now. Based on what you said, I believe the next step for you is to I don't know. We got to fill in the
And
blank
then I
right there,
guess based on
and
their
then
reply,
I'll show you exactly how to
right?
dot dot dot. I've got I've got a free training video I can shoot your way now that'll explain uh, everything in great detail. Before I send that over, do you think you have a chance to review it in the next 24 hours?
Cool. Okay. Yep.
Um, yeah, and so like you're gonna be way different if you do this in your chat process though, because like think about it, like everyone they probably DM for stuff, like they immediately started getting sold. You know what I mean? Like they just
Right.
started taking them through it. So then when you're like, oh, bro, well, like don't worry, I'm gonna send you this free training video right now, show you how we do it. Like
It's gonna be totally
that's
different.
gonna that's gonna build so much trust with them.
Right.
hmm
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of
So
sense.
what do you think of this? Yeah, I mean, so like based on what you said. So tell me more about your business. Maybe we add this up here. So maybe we add this because I
That
think
could
that this question is valuable for us to know before we send them this video.
right. Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. So move it up. Okay, cool. All right. So
And then, so that makes sense. And then I guess after you ask them if they'll have a chance to review it in 24 hours, do you just leave them for a day if they say yes, and then just come back to them later?
Yeah, so let's map out the rest of this first. So yeah,
Okay.
well, I have another script chunk to give you right here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is where I guilt trip them.
Oh yeah, you showed me the other day. Yep.
Yeah, this is where I guilt trip them. This is the best. This is the best line. I haven't seen anything beat this one. It's great. It's great. It really is. It's like so good. All right, so um,
And this is kind of similar to what I went through.
yeah. So what you went through was the quiz process, right?
Right.
So
So I could,
so what I'm
I see how I see how I could tweak it. Does that make sense?
yep, yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Ensure clear. Yeah, free trainers in your way give the grade set for them 2 hours. Okay, yeah, I just put the name, account, and follow the time. Here are the links. Here is the link to the trainings, and I'll give you more clarity about how all this works.
Yep.
And then you have the link, and then it's like watch that video, and make sure to take some notes. When we speak next, I'll ask you more about it. About sounds good.
Cool.
Boom, and then they're like sounds good. And then so they come back in 24 hours or wherever. So sometimes it doesn't take 24 hours. If people are really hot and interested, they will watch
We'll
that
watch.
video as soon as you send it
Yeah,
to them.
right there and then. Right.
Yeah, 100%. So you don't have to wait, but the framing works really good if you take them through it this way, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're being time considerate and saying, yeah, you know what I mean. So
Right.
um, cool. So then once they come back from the video, this is always the first question. It's like, so once they watch the video, it's like, all right, so hey Nick, I just watched the video. Sweet. Awesome. So what were your biggest takeaways from what you saw? Or you could say from the video right here, you could say what were your takeaways from what you saw?
Right. Yep.
Something like that. And they're like, oh well, da 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 da, blah blah, whatever the case is, right?
Right.
Um, and then sorry, we need a one more transition phrase right here. Nope, not this one. Here we go.
Okay.
We need
Cool.
this transition phrase right here. So it's like because basically you need to kind of like you need to kind of re-engage them back in the sales conversation right
Right.
after this. So then we need what are your biggest takeaways from the video you saw? Nick, I really like that you did X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. And I think that this could, I think your system is really interesting,
Yep.
um, about X, Y, Z. And it's like, I I definitely feel like there's, a way I can help.
Yep.
I just need to ask. So I'm going to phrase it a little differently. A little more clarity.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Things. Okay. Did I say cool up here? No, okay. I think would that be okay? I think it's good with that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll notice I'm like, I pick very light questions. I'm trying to make them like really easy to answer and not like super pointed,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, would it be okay? Yeah, man, that'd be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, here we go.
Yep. So
And
we'll
then we
just
go
use
right into the roadblock. Yep.
gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
There's that. Boom.
Oh,
Yep. Based on what it told me, I feel like I,
after
I feel
that part
really
is
good about.
pretty quick.
Yeah, after that's pretty smooth. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
And instead of saying few, I'm gonna say I just need a little more clarity on a couple of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of few, because if you say few, sometimes people are like, few, I don't know if I have time for a few, but a couple, yeah, I got time.
Right.
Just tell me if we go like this. Okay, cool, awesome, fantastic. So I called this the VLD script, but yeah, so you notice that I say right here, here's the link. Make sure you check it out from start to finish. We used to say stuff like, yeah, it'll take like 7 minutes to finish it or whatever. So I
Yeah,
just
no
leave
worries.
it like that now and we're
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, so now we got our full straight line here for inbound.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's pretty clear.
Hmm. And then so how we would do this for like a quiz, if you want to do a quiz process, right? So we'll do this. So we'll go inbound. We'll say inbound script, and I'll say I always call this like lead magnet script.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's yeah, you get it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna do a page break, so perfect. And then we do use all of this again, but I'll show you how it kind of transitions into it.
The
Um,
beginning is just a little bit different, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the lead in is just different, but everything else is the same.
Gotcha.
Uh, go. Yeah, and when you get honestly, dude, if you as you do this for long enough, like you get crazy documentation. I mean, you look at this,
I'm sure.
it's just
You just have
ridiculous.
a
Yeah,
ton of stuff, right?
yeah, you have just perfect, ridiculous amounts of ammunition. All right, so cool. Yeah, so I do use automation for the lead magnet stuff usually. Just because I just want to give them the link and all the assets and stuff
Or
easy.
at least the
So I
beginning,
will.
right?
Yeah, correct. So I'll say something like, hey, I'll shoot that over your way right now. What's the best email for you? They'll give me their email. You can also hook up a CRM right here, right?
Okay.
So if you've got to go high level or anything like that, you can hook it up directly into
Gotcha.
ManyChat. And then actually, sorry, if you have Go High Level hooked up to your DMs, period, Go High Level has like this like auto filling, like email filling feature.
Right.
So if they just type their email, period, ever in the chat, it'll pull the email into their profile.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful.
Um, so once they have your email, you got it here, awesome. And then obviously you have your link. And so you said PDF, right?
Right. Yep.
Uh, cool. Here's a link. What got you interested in checking out the PDF? You know,
Yep.
and they're like, oh, I'm so and so about. Yeah. So what are some scenarios real quick that people would they'd be like, oh, why am I interested in this PDF? They'd be like, oh,
Um,
well, maybe I have a community. I'm trying to build you're gonna find out some of that stuff we would ask them before. Yeah, kind of right
right.
here,
They're
huh?
they're
Yep.
probably gonna say something like they're probably either gonna say, oh, like having a school group like just sounds interesting to me.
Hmm.
Um, or
I
like
like that. I like.
or I have a school group and I'm not really making any money from it.
Got it.
Um,
Okay, no, that's a good one. So
something like
then
that.
that'll take us into this question. So this is I call this the turn. Hold on a second. All right. So whenever someone comes in on a lead magnet, and honestly, I used to. This is something that I've tried to drill into agent teams and stuff for a long amount of time, and on the JC squad, and it's like people will mess this up all the time. Still, it's like just
Yeah.
because someone comes in on a lead magnet doesn't necessarily make them completely a lead yet. It's
Right.
like it's like they came in on the lead magnet, but that doesn't mean they want to buy your thing.
Something. Yeah. They're just interested
Yeah,
in a resource.
correct. Exactly. So right here, like once you ask this question, it's like, well, what's got you interested in checking out the PDF, right? I call like this section right here in the conversation. I'll say like conversational section before we can sell people,
Okay. I see.
or before we can offer them something, before we can sell the offer
Right.
to sell
Okay.
people.
Yep.
So this conversational section that happens before is like kind of more like networking.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like they haven't really like they're kind of like, they just came in on the PDF, so they're not really like a lead. So you don't want to talk to them, don't start the sales conversation yet, but it's
Right.
more just like kind of discovery.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say it is because this part can last a little longer, than usual. So I've had this part be like one question, and then we can immediately take it to the sales. And then I've had other times where this is like a 2-day conversation of me back and forth with this person until
Gotcha.
and usually like to me, the indicator of like someone saying that they like that we could sell them, or that we could like start talking to them about the offer, is that they need to communicate. They need to clearly communicate that they have a problem of some kind. That's
Got
the
it.
key with
Okay.
this section. Before we
Got it.
go into what I call this the turn script right here, but hold on. The turn. So this is like, the reason I call it the turn is because we were turning a conversation that isn't really a sales conversation yet, but
Into
we're
one.
using a sales a script to move that into one. Yeah,
Got
exactly.
it. Okay.
So we'll
Okay.
say something like, this. I wouldn't say this is out of left field, because people are because I've changed that a couple times. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Let me go to my. Here we go. Yeah, instead of saying this is out of left field, I changed it to this. Okay, there we go. So instead, we're saying, so we go to the turn. It's a personalized reply, and then we say, I'm actually looking for a few more people who want this. So we had
And you kind of put in
this.
their problem.
Well, we had this outcome earlier whenever you mentioned it. We want to get to
Gotcha.
10K per month. And yeah, so we can actually just pull this exact line right here.
Yep.
We want to get to 10K in the automated school group. Would you be interested in the details? Yes, I'd be interested in the details, Nick.
Yep.
And then boom, once they reply here, then this is go to top of inbound script. Right? So then all you got to do is go right up to the top of here. Well, not necessarily like the fully top, right? But you'd say, oh, I just need to ask you a few questions first to see if you have help.
Right.
Cool. And then
Yeah. And then
probably
it
comes
goes
down.
into the rest of the inbound script. Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yep.